Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Today I'm doing this video to address some questions that came out from some comments that I made during the last group ride, where I mentioned that it takes me 30 minutes to warm up. And so we got a question from one of our legends on here. Laura 8 said, can you do a video that talks about what cadence to maintain? How do you actually warm up? I try not to give people specific numbers when I do things on here. I like to give ranges because every person is different. So to address how to warm up, I want to talk about things in terms of a process, because you need to find what works for you. Warming up is different depending on the event. If you're doing a long ride, like the ride we did for 5 hours, you don't need much of a warm-up. The ride is long anyway. You just ride yourself into the ride, meaning you just go through the gears, zone 2. Your cadence needs to be whatever cadence is comfortable, because you're not really going balls out. You're not really racing per se. It's a steady ride, and you ride yourself into the ride. Now, that's for an easy, steady ride. Your warm-up needs to be subdued. In other words, you don't need to go hard to warm up for an easy ride. But let's assume you're doing a ride where, say you're going to do a time trial, which is intense, or a fast group ride. The faster, the harder the event you're going to do, the harder your warm-up needs to be. So that means that the first 5 to 10 minutes, take your time, get into your average cadence. So if you normally average around 85, keep your cadence in that range to where you're not fighting to maintain the cadence. It's just something that you normally do all the time for the first 5 to 10 minutes. You want to warm up normally anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Now, it's going to vary, because if you ride frequently, you don't need that much of a warm up. If you ride infrequently, you need a longer warm up. Now let's talk about actually warming up. So the first 5 to 10 minutes, you're easing into the gears, you get into the largest gear you can handle. And then what you want to do, if the workout is intense, or a very fast group ride, or a criterium, or a bike race, for the next 10 minutes, you want to do some intervals. Now, by that I mean, don't kill yourself. You want to get yourself into the zones close to what the race is going to get you to. You're getting your body ready for the effort that you're going to do. So if you normally do, let's say, 10 intervals when you train, do 2 or 3. You just want to loosen up. So you do a 1 minute interval, you hit maybe speed cadence of the 100, 110, whatever, when you're working hard, whatever cadence you get to when you're working hard, you get to that cadence. That's why I don't like to give people numbers, because it's going to vary for everybody. If you normally work hard at 90, 95, then get to your cadence that you normally do and break a sweat. Get your body in that zone. Go hard for a minute, then rest 3 times the work interval. So if you did a minute, rest for 3 minutes, see how you feel, and then do a couple more just to loosen up. Just getting into that zone prepares your body. You don't want to get from the warm-up feeling tired. It's just to break a sweat. That's the biggest thing. So your warm-up is going to vary based on the event you're doing. So the first 5 to 10 minutes, you want to just get your cadence to your normal cruising cadence, whatever it may be. You shouldn't have to be thinking about it. Just let your body pedal how you normally pedal. And then the last 10 minutes, and this is assuming there's a 20-minute warm-up, you want to really get into those zones. Now, if the race is going to be very hard, you can try to add a few more minutes of warm-up, because a full warm-up is really good to get your body ready for a hard effort. If you're doing a time trial, you want to warm up for at least 25, 30 minutes thereabouts. You want to get to the line after breaking a sweat. You don't want to warm up to where you have to wait and cool down. So you have to warm up close to your start time. You don't want to miss the start time. And it's the same thing for the hard group ride. You want to warm up to where under 5 minutes for the ride to start, you're done with your warm-up, so you don't cool down and have to start all over necessarily. So that's the thing about warm-up. It's going to vary. So when Larry put the question out there, he started asking whether did you do high cadence, low cadence. If you normally ride with high cadence, whatever that may be, because high cadence is relative. 95 for one person is high. For another person who likes to do 80. 110 is high for another person like. Just ride the cadences you normally ride. And once you're getting into a harder warm-up, meaning getting ready for a fast group ride, get to the cadences that you normally do when you're pulling at the front. So, you know, I made the comment in one of the rides where I was, we're filming the ride along. I said that when I'm climbing and I'm going hard, I like to pedal between 85 to 95. That's when I'm working in the hills. On the road, I'm over 100 when I'm working hard effort, fast group ride. But when we're doing a long, steady ride, my cadences will range anywhere from 75 to about 105. Thereabouts. So it can be anywhere in that range. And that's the way you've got to look at it. There is no one particular way. As long as the gears you're in, you're not bogged down in them, then you're fine. Because you don't have a particular number that people define as spinning. Spinning, people have a tendency to refer to spinning because they're used to seeing very high cadences of 120, 110, where you see somebody's foot going like that. Well, your form is the same, you're just going faster. So it's really fast pedaling, you know, because spinning, to me, my definition of spinning is being efficient in the entire stroke, where you're pulling back, pulling up, kicking over, pushing down. That's spinning. So you can spin at 75, you can spin at 85, whereas you're not just mashing a gear up and down and forgetting about the other phases of the cycle. So the spin is the circular pedaling motion. So you can spin at any cadence, but people kind of equate that with just the very high cadences. No, that's just, you're pedaling at a higher cadence than somebody else. That's all it is. You know, so spinning equates to being on top of the gear. You're not bogged down. You can handle it. You know, so I don't like to give people numbers. So when you're warming up, if it's a long ride, a long group ride where it's going to be mostly steady, you really don't even need a warm-up. You just get going. If somebody blasts off, let them go. You're riding for 4 hours. Where are they going to go? They won't go that fast for 4 hours. So why bother? Now, if it's a short, fast group ride, like I said, you spice up the warm-up. So you give yourself half the warm-up to get into the highest zones, half the warm-up to warm up for the warm-up. You want to ease into the warm-up so you teach your body to use your fat stores for that first 10 minutes. And then you spice it up with some intervals. As far as how long you do the intervals for, it's going to vary. It's based on you. You just don't want to get tired during the warm-up. So if you're doing a short, intense ride, make it an intense warm-up. Hit zone 4 if you can get to the bottom of zone 5. It doesn't mean you're waiting for the heart rate to get there. If you have a power meter, it's more direct. But the bottom line is, you got to, by perceived exertion, you got to know when you're going all out or almost all out. So when you're warming up, you don't need to go all out. You could probably just do a couple of sprints anyway. That's a quick way to wake up the body anyway. So the warm-up, what I'm trying to get to is the warm-up is going to vary, because I don't want to give to say ride for 10 minutes at this cadence, then the other 10 minutes at that cadence or in this zone, because I want you to find the warm-up that works for you. We are all unique. Somebody may need 4 intervals to warm up, 4 1-minute intervals for a hard race. Somebody else may need a 5-minute interval. Everybody's different. The challenge is you have to find what works for you. Try different things. All you need to know from a process standpoint that applies to all of us is that if you're warming up for an intense event, make the warm-up more intense. Hit those upper zones. And I'm not talking about sitting around waiting for the heart rate. You're only going for a minute. Your heart rate doesn't have time to display zone 4. By then, your effort will be over. You need to know that I'm going 4 out of 5 on this effort. That's what I mean. Even if it's 30 seconds, do the hard efforts and get yourself out of breath and warm up for that. Find out what works. Find out how many of them work for you. Try different things before each group ride. What I try to tell people is, whenever you can, whenever it's possible, ride to the group ride. If it's not possible, get there early so you can ride for at least 20 minutes. 30 minutes is better, but at least 20 minutes to get your body nice and warmed up. So how you warm up should be something that you come up with, because anything goes. The biggest thing to remember, the easier the ride, the calmer the warm up. The harder the ride, the more intense the warm up. But you still got to use the first half of that warm up for the intense warm up to get your muscles nice and warm before you spice it up. But never leave the warm up feeling tired. So I hope this will help, because giving numbers and giving cadences to do is just not right, because everyone pedals differently. Everyone pedals at different speeds as far as cadence is concerned. And every person's body is different in that it will tolerate a different kind of warm up. So you've got to try different things to find out what works for you. What is universal, though, is that you have to warm up intensely for an intense event. And for a less intense event, the warm up can be milder. So with that, I'm going to stop and say, get your kilometers in.